What's going on? Welcome to Jags Uncovered, brought to you by the Undroppables Network. I am your host, Schultzy. This is my good friend and co-host, Joshua. Another wonderful evening. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. In a different spot today, but when you get to talk about the great game that happened on Sunday, you gotta take the opportunity.
Yeah, anytime,
no matter where you are.
You know, you're chilling in the car. It's all good. We're gonna get this done. But yeah, you're right. What a blessed opportunity we have here to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Our Jacksonville Jaguars.
Let's get it. So last week we sat here, man, talked about how this team finds new ways to disappoint you, but all while doing it in the exact same way they always do it. And this week is the exact same story.
Yeah, it's a song that never ends.
We got a game that the defense shows up. Like last week, I just kept talking about how the defense has been terrible. They'll put the team in a pit to start. Trevor brings them back. Defense kind of shows some life to give them a chance, but then by the time it's too little too late, the offense is dead. Like, whatever, it all falls apart. Well, they actually showed up from the start this time, but it's a good thing Mac Jones was starter. That was going to be his Tom Brady awakening moment. Am I right?
That's what I heard after that first drive.
I mean, all the smart people were saying it. So, first of all, opening drives, never pay attention to them. Just never base an opinion on a football game or a player on an opening drive because they've been practicing those plays every week. All week. You know what I mean? It's more of a concern if the opening drive goes like shit.
Yep, and they usually do.
And they usually do for us. You're right. So, yeah, the fact that Mac was dealing on that first drive, I'm not surprised. And it was a lot of quick hitters. Like, it wasn't anything special. Hilarious, man. We'll talk stats first. We can break down the drives and stuff a little bit. But, yeah, we're not going to get too hardcore into this one this week because, as we like to say, as you said before the show, that was, of all the Jaguars game you watched, that was one.
Yep.
This one's going to go down as a one you just forget. Like a couple of years ago, the Urban year, they hosted the 49ers and got waxed at home and completely forgot about that one until they played last year. And it was like, oh, yeah, they did play just 2 years prior to this, and it was bad. This is going to be one of those games where we're just like, yeah, take that one out of the memory.
Yeah, this is going to be a, for sure, forgettable moment. Mac Jones' debut game in his hometown.
Yeah, well, so it is what it is. And, unfortunately, as Jags fans, that's a pretty common phrase we're used to.
Yeah, we're a forgettable franchise, so having forgettable games is kind of just
par for the course.
Par for the course, yeah.
Mac was 14 of 22, threw for 111, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but he ran for a touchdown. Talk to me about Mac a little bit. I know you had a theory. It was kind of a joke theory, but kind of not a joke, about how you kind of thought maybe he was going to cook a little bit because Doug likes backup quarterbacks because they're going to follow his rules.
Yeah. After the first drive, it looked like I was right. And there were a lot of people on the Twitter machine who were putting out some bold takes after that first drive.
You're wrong.
But, Mac still is Mac Jones, and Doug's scheme still sucks. So it didn't go good. It started to fall apart at the end, and we saw the same mistakes. So it's a coaching issue. You have different guy back there, and people still running the wrong routes. They're on different pages. Mac wasn't good, but I don't know. He's also playing an impossible offense.
I love what
My
it
theory
showed
was wrong.
because you're right. An archaic offense and it's just proving how much Trevor is lifting this offense and the team.
Yeah, absolutely. He makes it look functional, and it was broken all day Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, they couldn't do anything. And this is a pass defense in the Vikings that has not been that great. Now, we both were concerned about the offensive line and the blitzing and the pressure they were going to face, but that pass defense, you can still get them. And Mac threw for 111. ETN ran 11 carries, 44 yards, nothing. I think I remember one carry on the ground from ETN where I was like, all right.
It was the first drive.
Yeah. Ingram was 6 for 40 on 8 targets. Strange was 2 for 25 on 3. Davis was 1 for 19 on 4 targets. Farrell was 2 for 16 on, I didn't write it down, but I think 2 targets. And then finally we had Brian Thomas 2 for 12 on 3 targets. And I believe one of those targets was a penalty. So I think maybe it was 4 and he had 3 true targets. I think that's right. I think some people were saying he had 4 targets, but 3 true targets because one was a penalty.
Yeah, and I don't think he got his first target till after halftime.
Cool. So I tweeted, my theory behind that is that, and we talked about this. I think we talked about this off camera one time, that if you're bulky, isn't Brian Thomas your biggest bargaining chip right now with Shad?
Yeah, the Brian Thomas emergence and then Trayvon cooking is your saving grace.
Right. And so if Balky has any chance at saving his job, it's going to be because Thomas is lighting it up, and he was starting to. Well, now when the season's fading away and Doug realizes all of a sudden Brian Thomas is going away, we know all about Doug playing games in the front office dating back to Philadelphia. So, we know they don't get along here. It would shock me 0% to find out that he's intentionally holding Thomas back here in an effort to just be petty with Balky.
Yeah, that'd be absolutely insane, and it would be perfect for the Jaguars.
Yes, 100%. Looking at some team stats here, the fact that this game was 12-7 is just comical. Okay, first downs 28-10. I mean, that's probably what the score should have been.
Yeah,
and that's the first downs. They were 5 of 11. I'm sorry, 5 of 14 on third down. We were 5 of 11. So the Jags had a solid day on third down. 5 of 11 is probably 45%, something like that. They were 5 of 14. So the Jags did a pretty good job on third down. They did a good job of limiting, bending and not breaking, forcing turnovers. Everything this team, this is all they need. I know Trevor wasn't out there, but where was this all season, man?
We didn't get a Sam Darnold pumpkin game.
It's true. It's fair.
They were still giving up plays. I mean, they shut down Justin Jefferson, which was nice. Mm-hmm. But they were more of the Jaguars from last year where they bend but don't break kind of thing.
Right. And it worked.
Yeah.
But you're right. It is 402 yards of offense for them. And this is really pathetic. 143 for the Jags.
Yeah. Just unreal.
I don't care who. Okay. We've seen some really bad quarterbacks get trotted out there for other teams, like Skylar Thompson. And within the past couple seasons, just really garbage backup quarterbacks. But Mac Jones is much more than a garbage backup quarterback. He's not a starter, but he is a dude that you should feel at least pretty good about, right?
Right.
Going into this situation. But yeah, once again, it proves the just how terrible this scheme is. But the fact that they put out 143 yards of offense. I don't care who's. I mean, I do care who's playing quarterback. I started all that to say some people are starting Skylar Thompson and Easton Stick, but we weren't. We were still starting a guy good enough that you should be able to manufacture 200 yards of offense based off coaching alone.
You would think.
Insane. Rushing was 169 to 56. Penalties. Crazy part. 3 penalties for the Jags. All day.
Yeah, and I think 2 of them were like unsportsmanlike conduct, and the one was at the end with Trayvon. It didn't matter.
Shit, you're right. Definitely the one at the end, yeah. And then 3 turnovers for each team. 2 interceptions and a fumble for Jaguars. Who lost the fumble? Was it Mac?
I think it was a bad snap, wasn't it?
Oh, you're right. Yes, it was a bad snap. And then here's the most damning one. Time of possession is 42 minutes, 19 seconds to 17 minutes, 41 seconds. And that's pathetic, man. That's 3-1.
Yeah, defense stood no chance, and they still held strong.
Right. So it goes back to the theme of defense puts them in a hole, which this one was not insurmountable. But in a way, when you don't get off the field, you're just leaving the other defense to be fresh for you.
Yep.
So, yeah, not doing themselves any favor, claw their way back to have a shot just to get crushed in the end. And then let's talk about that last interception. And we're going to talk about Doug here, telling the reporters that they're not smart enough, essentially, to figure it out. One, have you ever heard a coach say something like that?
I don't watch a lot of press conferences, but I can't assume coaches talk like that.
No, I don't think so either. Like, not even, like, Urban wouldn't even have done that.
Right.
Like, that's insane. It's insane. I just can't. I can't.
Yeah, the hubris from Doug is annoying. He's the smartest guy in the room.
Right. He does. And here's the thing that really rose me about it is that he's trashed Trevor all season, right? In press conferences when they lose. Mac throws this pick to end the game. That was really bad on Mac. And Doug's like, well, I'm just not going to explain it because you guys are fucking idiots. No, what if Trevor threw that one, though? He would have said, oh, quarterback's got to hit that flat there, or no, whatever, whatever. He's going to blame it on Trevor. Right?
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's quite the situation there.
And that's like, I think the thing with me with Doug that I was like, all right, I'm done with you is the constant just making life hard for Trevor when it should be the opposite. We should be catering everything to him.
Yep.
And it's just pure insanity to me. Like, how do you ever expect to become a winning franchise when you expect your biggest piece to adapt fully rather than adapting to him?
That is like coaching 101.
Right.
Adapt to your players, not your players adapt to your scheme.
And, like, don't get me wrong, there's definitely going to be some, hey, you're going to have to learn it this way. You're going to have to do it this way because this is how we do it. Like, there's definitely some that's not like the player's in full control, but yeah, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even need, like, to me, when we get to the coaching search, it's just going to be like ad nauseum talk, man. But for me, it's just going to be, I don't care. Just give me a young, fresh mind. That's all I care about.
Right. Yeah. You got it. Yeah. And you almost want a younger guy just to like meld ideas with a young quarterback.
Tyson showed out, man. Now, I know they said they weren't going to have him shadow JJ, and he didn't for the most part. Wasn't paying attention like super hard to see how much he was on him, but like he made a difference.
Tyson, when he's been healthy, has been really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like that deal was absolutely worth it. Dude looks like he took a different step. He's got to stay healthy now, man. He's so good.
And you can tell how he's like a trickle down on that defense. Like he helps so much with the Nielsen scheme since they play a ton of man. And without that one piece, you're trickling problems all the way down the rest of the secondary. Jerry and Jones stepping up though here is great news for them to pair with Tyson. What'd you see from him this week?
Yeah, he's been good since they moved Savage back to safety, moved him into the slot. We find another corner opposite Tyson, we might have something cooking in the secondary.
Speaking of that, let's just get right into it. We all know where this is going. We're gonna pick in the top 5 again, and right now we're number 1, baby. So, a couple of blue chip guys. That's got to be the goal. Just get us a blue chip guy. I don't even care. Like, where? Just give me a blue chip guy, right?
Yeah.
That's
Somebody's going to start and make an impact day one immediately.
Now, I'm going to be pretty hard on the Travis Hunter train. I think he's just that good of a corner alone. And the fact that you could sprinkle him on offense for fun sometimes is just a bonus. Pairing him with Tyson and then having the 2 pass rushers, I think would be the start of like that 2017 Jags defense where you had rush and cover and rush, right? Like it was a chicken and egg situation with that defense.
Yeah.
And I think if you were to pair Hunter, even Will Johnson with Campbell, I think you could, start to have some of those similar effects with who is creating the sacks. Is it the coverage or is it the rush or is it both?
That is my ideal situation. I know lineman's pretty hot, but I think if you get one of those stud corners, man, you can't pass that
up. But then, Will Johnson's up here. We're not going to mention the quarterbacks. Ted McMillan from Arizona. That dude's electric, 6'5", 210, and he flies.
Yeah, if we're picking between like 5 and 10, that would be my ideal selection. Him, just go offense, him opposite Brian Thomas. You got 2 big, solid wide receivers who can either beat you over the top or in the middle of the field.
Yeah, I think that would be really awesome. A couple of defensive linemen in the top, like 10, 15 here. Because, dude, draft season's wild. You never know who's going to end up in the top 5.
Mason Graham.
Right. I'll say Mason Graham is here from Michigan, defensive lineman. Abdul Carter, edge from Penn State. Nick Scorton, another edge, Texas A&M. James Pierce, edge, Tennessee. Michael Williams, edge from Georgia. So it looks like there's some good edge talent, but they're not picking edge in the top 5 or 10.
No.
Like that's just not happening.
Yeah.
Other than that, you got Will Campbell, offensive tackle, LSU. Kelvin Banks, offensive tackle, Texas. Ariante Urseri, I'm sure that name was butchered on my end. From Minnesota, those are like your 3 big tackle prospects. I wouldn't hate tackle, especially like if I don't know anything about these guys yet, but if one of them is like, like a Penei Sewell, like surefire left tackle, like I wouldn't hate that, but I'm still team go get the corner.
Yep. Yeah, I'm saying corner. Tackle I get. Depends on how Walker Little finishes the year, I guess. And then, man, McMillan would just be so fun.
Yeah, it would. Travis Hunter's the type of player though that he's like a culture changer, man, and we need a guy like that. Like it was exactly like what Ramsey was when we drafted him.
He'd be fun, yeah.
Now, he's not like the physical, like straight up physical guy like Ramsey, but yeah, a lot of juice there. So that's kind of early look there at some of these prospects. Like I said, draft season's wild. Shit's going to change. We got no clue. We'll check back in later. But yeah, I think I'm team cornerback and then offensive line after that, depending on where they pick. But I would guess top 5, right?
Well, we play a lot of bad teams on the back end, and those bad teams are also going to be picking around that. So it'll be close.
So we could easily sneak into 4 to 5 wins and end up 8th or something.
Yeah.
Which would be so Jaguars.
Yeah, it would. Go on a run.
It would only be so Jaguars if they scoop enough wins at the end to keep their jobs.
That's why I need Doug fired before the bye.
Right.
We can't give him that satisfaction.
You're so right. We had Shout and Tony dining on the Kismet. What do you think they were talking about?
AEW, obviously. It wasn't the Jaguars.
God damn it, you're right.
No, I don't know, man. I thought seeing Shout's boat there, it'd be like, okay, something's obviously happening. He's in town, but, they didn't get embarrassed good enough. Hopefully Detroit seals the deal.
Yeah, at least we got the Lions this week. Man, we need that ass kicking, like a big time ass kicking to get Doug fired. So if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be the Lions.
Yeah.
Ooh, I knew what I was going to bring up before we got out of here. This other Lions front office guy who has now been rumored. Do you know anything about him?
I just know he's like their cap guy, I think.
Yes, so I was reading about him. Basically, he was a cap guy under the previous GM. But apparently he was like pounding the table to hire Campbell and Holmes to the owner.
Interesting.
Right. And I was like, okay. But like literally those are the two dudes who changed that franchise.
Right.
So
yeah, you're not wrong.
If you're like a big part of identifying that talent and bringing them in, I could probably make a good GM, I would think, at least better than Trent Baalke.
And it might be your plug into Ben Johnson.
That was the thing. It was like the thing I saw on Twitter was like someone was speculating that Johnson would go to Jacksonville and then bring that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, that wouldn't be bad.
No. All right, man. You got anything else? This was kind of a quick episode, but they're depressing. We don't need to talk
and
about it.
That game wasn't really eventful, so.
Oh my God, it was. We already touched on it, but yeah. That's a forgettable one. Last thing here we got is the MVP of the week. And this week's going to be the most valuable pick of the week. And that's whatever pick the Jaguars end up with. And hopefully the new regime has a nice player fall to him.
Nice.
You know what? Only if it's a new regime.
Only. Yeah, we can't let Baalke do that.
I saw Hacker was like, not Hacker, Hicken said something about like if Baalke's back, I'm just done. And I was like, you know what? I've never wanted to be like that kind of dramatic guy, and I don't know if I can ever quit this team, but that might be the one that would do it.
It would be rough. It would be rough.
Well, Josh, anything else to say?
Nope, that's it, man.
All right, let's get out of here and go Lions.
Go Lions.